Extra, extra, read all about it. The investigation into Scandinavian airline system Flight 751 comes to an end. 2 years ago, on the morning of December 27th, Flight 751 was bound for Copenhagen. Captain Stefan Rasmussen and First Officer Ulf Cedermark were making their pre-flight checks when it was noticed that ice had formed beneath the plane's wings. Environmental conditions that morning as well as the night before were ideal for ice formation. As such, Captain Rasmussen ordered twice the de-icing of the plane. Seconds after takeoff, explosive banging noises were heard from the engines, and jerks, experienced as heavy braking, were felt in the cabin. The engines began surging and eventually failed, forcing Rasmussen to declare a ground emergency and land the plane in a nearby field. Miraculously, all persons on the flight survived, even though the fuselage was broken into 3 pieces on landing. Rasmussen was hailed a hero. But what really caused this horrific accident? Investigations revealed that the plane was not adequately de-iced, leaving behind clear ice on the tops of the plane wings that could not be seen by technicians. The clear ice in the wing roots loosened during takeoff and was sucked into the engines located directly behind the wings. However, the engines were designed to withstand such ingestions. While the surges occurred, Rasmussen followed procedure by throttling back to reduce power, but power somehow increased. Investigations also found out that the SAS manufacturers did not communicate that they recently introduced a feature called Automatic Thrust Restoration, or ATR, that made it impossible to throttle back to dangerous levels during ascent. The lack of knowledge of this feature forced Rasmussen to crash land in the field. Who is to blame in this case? Scandinavian Airlines and its manufacturers are to blame for this incident. It was unethical of SAS to not cover all their bases by not having proper procedures for the removal of clear ice from the plane wings. The aircraft manufacturers are equally at fault since they did not communicate to the airline of the implementation of the ATR. After counseling, First Officer Cedermark was able to return to his job. However, Rasmussen's career ended with Flight 751. Rasmussen did his duty by making all the pre-flight checks, ensuring that everything was up to mark and not taking the safety of his passengers for granted. During the incident, Rasmussen held his composure and used his training to ensure that he could have done everything possible to solve the problem before making the decision to land the plane in the field. Although Rasmussen received counseling, he was no longer confident in his abilities to fly. He made the ethical decision to not return to flying and did not delude himself into doing a job he was no longer psychologically capable of doing. After the incident, Scandinavian Airlines began training its pilots in the use of ATR, and procedures were introduced to adequately check for clear ice on the plane wings. Had there been proper communication and procedures in place, Flight 751 may have safely arrived at its destination, and Rasmussen may still be piloting planes today.